Alrighty, let's do this thing. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to Late Night Snacks. This is show number 8. We're halfway through the week. But before we get to tonight's topics, I want to tell you all something that I actually scheduled another live stream, but it's on a Sunday at 3:30 because Sunday, January 22nd, will unfortunately, okay, let's take it soft because I know I'm excited for tonight's show, but we're going to have to start, low because, January 22nd will mark a 1-year anniversary of when I lost a friend. His name is Colin Manicue. He sadly passed away 1 year ago on January 22nd, 2022, just a few months before my mom passed away. So before we talk about tonight's topics, I want to tell everyone that on Sunday, January 22nd at 3:30, I will be doing a live tribute for my friend Colin Manicue, and I will discuss his my many experiences with Colin, such as when I went bowling with him, played baseball with him when I was younger, and even did swimming lessons in his pool at his backyard when I was younger. And Colin also loved Sesame Street, and he also loved Disney. It just breaks my heart for Colin and his family. And just nearly 3 months later, my mom passed away. It's heartbreaking. Because 2022 was off to a heartbreaking start because we started off losing Colin. Well, actually, we lost Bob Saget, and then we lost Colin, and then my mom. It's sad. It's really, really sad that we're all going through such tremendous loss. So remember, January 22nd, which is on a Sunday at 3:30, I will be doing a live tribute for my friend, Colin Manicue. Okay, we're going to start tonight's topics, but we're also going to start low because tonight, on show number 8 of Late Night Snacks, we mourn the loss of a rock and roll legend, Jeff Beck. He just recently passed away at the age of, I think he was 78. Yeah, and I think my dad loved Jeff Beck. I think we had one of the CDs of his music and songs. Just heartbreaking that not only we had to talk about some devastating things on tonight's show, which is the live tribute for Colin Manicue on the 22nd at 3:30, which is on a Sunday, and also the loss of Jeff Beck. So, all right, everyone, let's have a moment of silence for Jeff Beck. So devastating. And my dad loved Jeff Beck. He loved any classic rock band. My dad loved classic rock. That's all he lived for. I gotta move on so I can this way. There you go. My dad loved classic rock. He is a fan of it, and right now in heaven he is listening to classic rock all the time. Because my dad was a fan of classic rock. So it's just devastating that we're going to start the night off with 2 sets of devastating news. Well, first and foremost, I'm talking about the live stream on the 22nd, which is on Sunday at 3:30, and where I'm going to be talking about the life and my experience with Colin Manicue, and also the loss of rock and roll legend Jeff Beck. Devastating. Really is. May he rest in peace. And now we're going to have another moment of silence for Mr. Jeff Beck. So devastating. But we're going to go high now because one of my main topics for tonight is I'm going to talk about, because since I was younger, I used to play, when I had a Windows 98 computer, I used to play an NES emulator called Nesticle. And that's when I started playing emulators. Even though when I played the NES emulator called Nesticle, they didn't have, it came in a disc, but it didn't include Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 and the first Legend of Zelda game. But instead, it came with Super Mario Bros. 2, which is actually a clone of the Famicom game Doki Doki Panic, and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, which, unlike the first Legend of Zelda game, is a side-scroller like a lot of the classic NES games. And Zelda 2 is a hard-ass game, but I actually beat it so many times. Did you all know that? But I actually died several times because, Zelda 2 is a hard game like Castlevania, Contra, Ninja Gaiden, and so on and so on and so on. So... since I was younger, I used to play, retro video games on what they call emulators. Like when you play NES or Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64 or Sega Genesis. So, if you're a retro gamer, I should recommend they want to take you back to the past. It's like a blast from the past because you want to go back, because when you don't have the game systems you don't have anymore, like Nintendo 64, you can always play them on emulators once again to go back to the past and relive the glory days of gaming. And when you get through frustrating parts in emulators, there are save states which helps you through the most difficult parts in retro video games. Like, for example, when you play one of the 6 NES Mega Man games, there's some spikes in the middle of the level. Like, for example, in Mega Man 2, there's those laser beams that go and that kill Mega Man instantly. And when you're in Quick Man stage in Mega Man 2, and when you touch them, you die instantly. So, and when you use save states to get through the most frustrating Quick Man stage in Mega Man 2. That's an example of when you use save states in emulators, because just in case when you die by touching those in Quick Man stage when you play Mega Man 2, you load the state and you try not to screw up once again like you did like 3 seconds ago. So that's an example of when you use save states and load the save states when you play emulators. So, and speaking of emulators, in past videos, I played modifications of Super Mario 64, which is one of my favorite games of not only the Nintendo 64, but all time. But nowadays, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my favorite game of all time, period. Tied with Super Mario 64, that is. So, and I played modifications of Super Mario 64, and I played them on a Nintendo 64 emulator. And nowadays, I've been playing emulation on the Chromebook that I got as a replacement from my cousin all the way in Georgia, after the one I originally had that I got for Christmas during COVID got a cracked screen on the same day my mom passed away. And I was so devastated when that happened. And I think my Chromebook has insurance, and just in case if something bad happens to it, I can get it replaced anytime within the 2-year warranty, because I think it still has insurance. So I think the Chromebook that I still has insurance. And in case something bad happens to it, I can have it replaced anytime within the next 2 years, because it's still having the 2-year warranty, because I just got it it'll be 1 year ago in April. So this coming April, the same day when my mom passed, the same time period when my mom passed away from the heart attack. Well, when my mom passed away from the heart attack, on the same day my old Chromebook got a cracked screen. I was devastated. I was ready to go on my knees in devastation, and I felt like I was going to pass out, because I was just so utterly devastated about my Chromebook getting a cracked screen back then. But they couldn't, that was when they couldn't fix it, because it was almost exceeding the 2-year warranty. And it has insurance though, and I can get it replaced anytime, just in case if something bad happens to it. Did you all know that? So, and I've been playing emulation almost my entire life, since I was like 9 or 10 years old when I started playing the NES emulator. And that's when, even though back then Nintendo 64 and PlayStation were my top 2 choices of video games back then, even though back when I was still 9 and 10 years old, I still had a Super Nintendo. Did you all know that? Yeah, back when I was 9 and 10, even though I had Nintendo 64, I always went back to playing Super Nintendo. So, and around that time, when my dad came home with a CD that he got from someone he used to work with, he brought me home a CD loaded with classic Nintendo Entertainment System games, and they come with an emulator. And it's called Nesticle. That's Nesticle. And in case that's one of the first NES emulators that they've ever invented, because they want to go back to the glory days of gaming, like NES, SNES, and so on. They can always go back to that. So, and I've been doing emulation for almost my entire life, since the days of when I played the NES emulator called Nesticle. So, and the cursor, when you boot up Nesticle, the cursor is a severed hand. Well, it's almost like a monster's hand, but it's a severed hand with blood dripping out of it, as the cursor for the NES emulator when I played when I was younger. And that's when I was because back when I was really little, and before I was born, when my parents first got married, they used to have an NES, but they only had a limited library of games, like Super Mario Brothers, the Super Mario Brothers cartridge came with Duck Hunt, and you could play either Super Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt in one cartridge. And they also had a game, and they also had Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, and Pinball. So it's one of the, and Pinball is one of the original NES, is one of the NES launch titles, just like Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. So, and later on, I got 3 more games for the library, which are, for our limited library, which are Super Mario Brothers 3, Dr. Mario, and Star Wars. And, Star Wars was then the only movie-based game we had for the NES back then. And it's that game that Angry Video Game Nerd reviewed back in 2011 during his Star Wars games review, all the way back in 2011, the same year I graduated high school in. So, when I was really little, when we had the NES, until it broke down when I was still little, and I got really devastated, because little kids don't play video games much until, I think, later on. I was so devastated. I was really devastated, because man, they didn't last long, so it sucked. But years later, after my NES broke down, I started playing NES games on an emulator called Nesticle. And that's when I got introduced to more NES games, like all 6 of the Mega Man games. And trust me, the Mega Man games are hard. All 6 of them on the NES are hard as hell. All 6 of them. Even the first one is hard as hell. Did you know that? And I also got introduced to more games like Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, let's see, even Donkey Kong Jr., the original Mario Brothers, Excite Bike. Yeah, and they also had Excite Bike on there. Castlevania. Yeah, I think all 3 Castlevania games are on there. Let's see, what other NES games were on there? Let's see. NES. Double Dragon. Oh, actually, all 3 Double Dragon games were on there as well. Yeah, and also all 3 of the Double Dragon games were on the the emulator that, and also Super Mario Brothers 2. But guess what? No Super Mario Brothers 1 and 3, but they got Zelda 2, but no Zelda 1. But they did have Dr. Mario on the CD that came with the NES emulator. And did you all know this? That when I played NES games on an emulator, Dr. Mario and Zelda 2 were the only 2 games that on the CD with the NES emulator that I originally played on that I originally owned when we had the NES when I was really little. So let's see what other games. Oh, Final Fantasy, the first Final Fantasy game. We also had that as well. I also had that on the emulator as well. It was cool though, but it was still bland without Super Mario Brothers 1 and 3 and without the first Zelda game. Because you know, Super Mario Brothers 3 and the first Legend of Zelda game are 2 of my favorite NES games of all time. So, and if you're a retro gamer and you want to go back to playing the games you love in the past, then I recommend you should play emulators. Whether you have it on a laptop, Chromebook, tablet, or any of the current gaming systems you have, emulators is your go-to when you want to go back to the games you love. And just in case if you're stuck or you want to save your progress and continue where you last left off, then you should use save states and when you want to go back to where you last left off, or in case you make a mistake, like when you die in a level or when you mess up, you save this, you load the state, and you try to reverse what happened. So, and did you know this? You don't have to change cartridges when you want to play different. You don't have to change cartridges when you want to play different games. Like for example, when you play, when you want to play a Super Nintendo emulator, and right now you're playing Super Mario World, and right now you want to play Chrono Trigger. When you're playing Super Mario World right now, and then at the next minute you want to play Chrono Trigger, you go to the menu and select Chrono Trigger, and there you go. And that's one of the best parts about emulators is you don't have to change cartridges when you play emulators. I mean, unlike when the systems you already own, you can't use save states and you have to change cartridges. Did you all know that? So, and retro gamers, I recommend you should play emulators. They're fun, and that's my recommendation for all the retro gamers out there. So, and you know, I've been playing emulators since I was like 9 or 10 years old with the NES emulator. So, yeah, it's a recommendation for all of those retro gamers that want to go back to all the games that they love in the past and also the present. And so this way they can go back to the games they love and relive their childhood moments like they did when they originally owned the cartridges of the games, like Nintendo 64 and all of that, they can do that. So, yep, and I had a really good experience with emulators since when I had the NES emulator on my old Windows 98 computer. It's cool though, and it's a recommendation for all retro gamers, including yours truly, the host of Late Night Snacks, which is, you're looking at that person right now. So, it's cool. So, okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to stop talking about emulators for tonight, and we're going to move on to another devastating news for the night, which is the discontinuation. It's devastating news for all the pasta lovers out there. And also, this devastating news for all the pasta lovers out there is the recent discontinuation of Ronzoni Pastina, which is star-shaped pasta, and that is made by Ronzoni. And when they heard the news about the Ronzoni Pastina discontinuation, pasta lovers as well as people who, a lot of people are absolutely devastated that those stars have been shattered. And the Ronzoni Pastina is now currently discontinued. And so many people, including pasta lovers, are absolutely, unbelievably devastated. And I like pasta too. Even though I like pizza, I like any kind of food. Period. Even though I got to lose weight soon if I want to get a girlfriend soon. But I too am devastated about, even though I don't think I've ever tried the Ronzoni Pastina now, but sadly, since it's now discontinued, I never will. Sorry about that. Okay. No. And all the pasta lovers out there are so devastated about the discontinuation of the Ronzoni Pastina. Oh. And you know something? A lot of pasta fans are demanding that they should bring the pastina back. And you know what? Maybe one day they will bring it back. Just like when Hostess Twinkies were discontinued back in 2012, they actually brought them back because so many fans were devastated when Hostess Twinkies. Right now, but 1 minute. But first, they're on Eyewitness News. They're showing when said rock star Jeff Beck passed away at 78. That's the first topic that I talked about tonight on show number 8 of Late Night Snacks, which is the loss of rock and roll legend Jeff Beck. So, and I was devastated when I heard all about it. Okay, back to Pastina and the discontinuation of the Ronzoni Pastina. So many fans are devastated, and I am too, even though I think I tried it only once. So it's devastating, just absolutely, unbelievably devastating of what happened. So, and you never know. They might bring it back that one day, just like when they brought Twinkies back, and just like when Twinkies was discontinued, I was devastated because I like Twinkies, and also speaking of discontinued items, when they discontinued shredded chicken at Taco Bell, like shredded chicken soft tacos and shredded chicken burritos, I was absolutely devastated because I like those items on the menu. And you never know, just like with Mexican pizza, they might bring shredded chicken back on the Taco Bell menu. And so many Taco Bell fans will be so happy. Even though I've been going back to Taco Bell more often, I was just there today. because I had to get my dinner for tonight. And I really like those grilled cheese steak burritos. They're really delicious. And they even put shredded cheddar on top and also jalapeno peppers on top of it as well. It's so good. Mouth-watering also. So hopefully they'll bring Pastina back one day. You never know. So I'm just, I gotta get a haircut soon. All right, so still devastated about the loss of Jeff Beck. Because my dad, I think, loved Jeff Beck. He loves any classic rock musician. Because my dad loved classic rock. So just a sad day in the world of rock. And don't forget, Sunday, January 22nd at 3:30, I will be doing a live tribute for Colin Manicue, a dear friend of mine who passed away 1 year ago on January 22nd. And I would just, months before my mom passed away. Because 2022 was off to a devastating start. It really was. It absolutely was, because first and foremost, we lost we lost Colin Manicue. And then months later, actually it started with the Omicron variant of COVID-19. And we had to limit going out once again to only Wednesdays. And then Colin passed away. My mom was still not doing too good. And then sadly, she had the heart attack. And that was it for her. And then I had to go through a very, very unbelievably painful transition from my old house to my group home. It's so devastating. It really is that I have been going through a year of entire pain and suffering. But I'm one step closer to fully rebuilding my life. I really have been, and my mom and dad are both so proud of me in heaven every day. Okay, and we're going to switch gears now to Damar Hamlin. And this is the sign of the time for Mr. Damar Hamlin. I heard he has been checked out of the hospital. So that must be the sign of the time for Damar Hamlin. And it looks like this is one game that Damar is finally winning. And that's in the encouraging news story of the night when it comes to all this devastating news that's been going on lately, especially with Jeff Beck and I think last night was when the anniversary when Bob Saget passed away, and also soon the anniversary of when my friend Colin passed away. And I will be, even though I can't do late night snacks on weekends, but Sunday at 3:30, I will be doing a live tribute for Colin. So make sure you stay tuned on Sunday, January 22nd at 3:30, where I will be talking about all the great memories I had with Colin. It'll be devastating and heartbreaking. Because, Colin went before, sadly, my mother went. It's absolutely devastating. It really is. And my heart is aching. Well, it has been aching for so long. And I've been going through almost the last 12 months of nothing but heartache and grief. Especially when we lost Colin, and then my mom, and then I had to go through a very painful transition, and topping it all off, testing positive for COVID. And I just can't describe how devastated I really am. Sorry about that, excuse me. So, and also this Sunday, so we're going to switch gears for 1 minute. The Giants take on the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday at the NFC wildcard game. So let's go Giants. Let's go Giants. So. Hey, even though they lost last week to the I forget what team they played. Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost to the Eagles this past Sunday. So, and this is the Giants' road to the Super Bowl. The start of the road to the Super Bowl in this win or go home game against the Minnesota Vikings. So, in this win, go big or go home game. Because unlike they're showing, just give me 1 second. They're showing Damar Hamlin being released from the hospital on the news right now, so I'm going to watch it. Just give me 1 second. One second. Okay. On the news, they just showed that Damar Hamlin has been discharged from the hospital and is now resting at home. So that is a sign of the time for tonight's late night snacks, despite the devastating news with Jeff Beck and Colin, and also the Pastina's discontinuation, and so many. Well, actually, one of the two only non-devastating topics I talked about was emulators, and that was a non-devastating topic I did for tonight, and also Damar Hamlin's road to recovery. So, you got this, Damar. This is for you, Mr. Damar Hamlin. Good luck, and you're winning this game. And we're all so very proud of you. This is for you. To the one game that he is winning. And we're all so proud of you. Keep it up. Go Damar. So, and don't forget, Sunday, January 22nd, 3:30, I will be doing a live tribute to Colin Manicue. Because, January 22nd will mark 1 year since Colin passed away. He was 35 when he passed away. He would have been 36 now. He would have been 36 back in May 2020. Well, back in May 2022. So, and 2022, after going through the last 2 years with the COVID pandemic, was the year when I went through so many changes in my life. A year of going through significant changes in my life. Like, for example, first of all, when I lost my mom, and then when I had to move out of my house and transition to a group home, and then had to go to a day program every day except Wednesdays and weekends for the next 6 hours. It's tough. It really is tough that I have to go through all of this. And then to top it all off, I had to test positive. I tested positive back in December for COVID. I think just 2 weeks before Christmas. It was devastating. Just absolutely, unbelievably devastating when I had to go through all of this. So, Monday is Martin Luther King Day. And yes, I will be doing late night snacks on Martin Luther King Day, where I will be asking and telling asking what your dreams are, and I'll be telling what my dream is on Dr. Martin Luther King Day, which is this coming Monday. And I will be doing late night snacks on Martin Luther King Day this coming Monday at the same time, which is 11 p.m. EST. So I can't wait. It's going to be exciting asking you what your dreams are and asking what my dreams are, even though Q&A night is not till every Friday night on late night snacks. So please sure to this Friday is Q&A night on late night snacks. And last week I didn't get any questions and answers. So hopefully this week I'll get some in the comment section below during the live chat. And I can't wait to hear from all of you. I just can't friggin' wait. So, and sadly this Sunday will be the 1-year anniversary live tribute to Colin Manicue. So, at 3:30, because I'll be home by then after going to church. Maybe. So, I mean, maybe I'll be home by then. So, it's just devastating. So, all right, boys and girls, this is where I'm going to be stopping for tonight. So, we're almost at 100 subscribers. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will continue to do my amazing work at Late Night Snacks. So hope everyone is having a wonderful night out there, and we'll see you all tomorrow night. Have a good night, everyone.